Hi, this is Eric again from Weeping Beetroots, and this is going to be my third and final film in the three-part series about the evolution of my homemade crossbows. I'm going to keep making them, but just like these are the basic ones. These are like the sort of practice crossbows, if you will, where I just wanted to play around, see what I could do, see how what you can do with just simple home, stuff you can find at home, and yeah, it's worked out very well, I think. So here I'm back, and I've got my full crossbow here. So much bigger than the other two, obviously. With this one, so as opposed to the other ones where I used a plastic ruler, used the screw, used some a lot of rubber bands, obviously. It's I used sort of modern materials and things, and I cheated and just played around making crossbows with whatever I could. With this one, I tried to keep it a bit more medieval in a way. Obviously, it's not, because I still used normal sandpaper, a drill, electrical drill, all the tools anyone in the modern day uses. But I tried to stick to the basic materials that they probably would have had in some form back in the medieval ages. So basically just pieces of wood, nails instead of screws, and then the string is made from linen, which again I think is manufactured these days in a completely different way from what it was, but still it's linen, and they had linen. So we go through the basics of this one. It's quite a lengthy one. The lathe itself, the bow, is about about 840 millimeter or something, I think. So I'm not exactly sure what that would be in inches or feet. I think it's about close to 3 feet, almost 3 feet long. So not short. With wooden, that's the thing. With wooden legs, they usually had them much longer because you couldn't get the same amount of power out of a wooden bow and flex that you could from a composite bow or a steel lathe. So wooden bows were usually, as far as I know, again I'm not an expert, but as far as I know, were much longer. This one, as you can see, is you can see there the growth rings or growth lines. You can see them in there, and that's not good. Okay, so with a bow, if you again watch the videos in the links in the description below, you'll see, especially on Todd's videos, that you need the back of the bow, the part facing away from the archer, must be a single growth line as far as you can possibly get it, and then the belly of the bow here is where you shave off more, because it should be thicker in the center and thinner towards the limbs, so you can get the flex. Things I couldn't do that, I just didn't have, the wood. I can't go out and just chop down a tree and age the wood and season it and then make sure I get it exactly so on the line and that I get a perfect piece of wood with thick, late wood lines, as opposed to the weaker early wood. I couldn't do that, so I just went to like a shop and bought some pieces of oak, pieces of pine. In this case, this is pine, and looked at the ones that looked the best to me, where the lines, the growth lines sort of lined up as neatly as as possible, and this is the one I found and used. It's not perfect, but it did the job. So basically, I took bought a piece of like it should be 900 mil a plank, and it's about, I'm not sure actually, 46 I think millimeter wide or broad, so about 2 inches or so I think. And then I just worked it down. So from this whole portion I left level, but from here to the tips, I cut it diagonally, you know, so I cut it, measured a line from there to there, where this is maybe halfway down the whole width of the plank, you know, made a mark there, cut it down this way, that way, so that we had a broader, wider center for the bow and a thinner one here, and that gives the limbs the necessary, you know, flex that they need. Right, so I also built a little. So I also built this tiller stick, or tillering stick, which you know, you can use to build the crossbow. So what you do is you just take the, you know, if this was the bow, you just put it on there, and with some string, you know, you can pull it back to these pegs, and then you can see the flex in the bow itself. And then what you do, again in Todd's videos, what you'll do is you'll, you know, the string you can engage over these pins, pegs, and then stand back and just have a look at the flex of the bow. And in that way you can, you know, you can see where exactly the bow is bending too much or not enough or whatever, and then you can slowly, piece by piece, work it down to until the point where you are happy with, you've got a beautiful bend in the bow, the draw length goes far enough down, you know, to however many pegs you want, and these are measured by inch, 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 and then 2 inch, 2 inch, 2 inch. So that makes it easier to sort of measure, give you a basic idea of what the draw length will be. So I did that there. Then just, you know, cut some simple notches in there, made a string out of, again, linen, and they sort of just, you know, rolled, if you can see that, rolled the, you know, wound some linen over this to make this piece a bit fatter, to firstly make it, you know, give it some extra strength there and some extra grip, and then also to just make it fatter so it could engage the bolts where necessary. Okay, so for the trigger system, I used this. I've used a rolling pin system that I think the Romans invented, and that was used mostly in the medieval Europe. So you can see that is the section with the notch in it where the string will engage, and then down here is a smaller piece that's supposed to be the sear. Now the strength, the power in this bow is so weak that I'm not going to bother with a sear plate and with metal and all of that, because the point of all that is you want it to be hard enough to last a lifetime, or at least a few years or so, you know, and not to just wear away after a few shots. In this case, it might very well happen, but you know, the load here on these pieces is so low because of the bow that I think it should be okay, and even if not, I'll be happy to replace it at some point. Plus this was more of a practice bow anyway, so I've just got a simple pin there, you know, a little wooden dowel that I used, and that's just the pin for this. And this is my trigger, so it's just a little, you know, I'm not going to take the whole thing out now, but I can do another video about that, but just like a little piece of wood that is shaped, luckily was shaped in this way, and that I just sort of pinned in the middle there, where it bends, and then that end can sort of engage this sear piece on this notch on the nut. And that's it. So I just, you know, this can spin now. If I drop the trigger down and lift it and push it down a bit, you can see that now the nut here, the trigger nut, cannot move forward anymore. Not until I pull that up. So, you know, I just engage that again. I do this, and then I can simply put the bow, you know, against something. I actually can just do it one-handed. It's quite weak. And there you go. Now it is engaged. The string has, you know, catches behind the wheel nut there. The trigger nut there. And that's it. There you go. There you've got your bow. Yeah, normal sort of groove cut through the middle there, down the middle. Just try to do some sort of bendy, arty stuff here to make it look a bit better than just blocks of wood. Not that it looks good anyway, but, you know, I just tried something. I'm still an amateur anyway. Yeah, just got a bit of a inspired by not medieval crossbows, but more by modern guns and things, sort of a stock effect there. So you can sort of push it against your shoulder, and you've got this is deeper, so you can actually put your cheek down there and sight down the groove, which is, I think, quite nice. Yeah. Right, let's take it to the range and shoot. So, thanks. That's it from me, Eric at Weeping Beetroots, and thanks. See you next time.